We are going to talk about your gut microbiome. Have you ever heard of your microbiome? Well, we're going to talk about it. And it's one of the most fascinating subjects, I think, that I'm studying right now. And it's answering so many questions that I've had over the years. I graduated in '75 and started actually teaching about fiber in the early 80s. And that has become my platform for all of these years, is eat more fiber. And now we understand a lot of why the fiber is so important, dietary fiber. And now with the research, with the technology, we can actually identify and understand more about what's going on in the gut. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
All right, and you'll find out if you listen long enough that Evelyn works from a framework, a philosophical framework that I love. And this fiber and everything else she tells you will fit in that, within that framework. She says, you don't have to focus on the bad. You don't have to focus, I've got to get rid of this or I've got to do that. Focus on getting more good in. You know what happens? The other takes care of itself. And
well,
fibers...
Don't you teach adding before subtracting?
For sure.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And if you subtract first, you end up with a vacuum. What do I do now? So instead, we're going to learn what good to put in and then just put more of it in until it's all good.
That's right. You are right. So let's talk about what you're eating. This could be a new experience for you, but I want to tell you some of the grains that are in here. The first one is oat groats. Have you ever heard of an oat groat? Maybe you can pass this around. The oat groat is the whole oat. So it has the bran layer taken off.
One thing I find interesting is they all look so much alike. So how about if I bring two of them and you can see?
Yeah, we're going to pass them all around.
We can compare.
The second one is an older wheat called kamut. It's a little lower in gluten. And the third one, you see those are from Apple Valley, and this one is from Country Life. So they sell it in smaller quantities. We buy it in 25-pound bags. It looks like we're feeding horses at our house. But we buy the 4 grains. So that's the oats and the kamut, and then there's spelt. Spelt is another awesome whole grain, and then barley. And the barley and oats happen to be excellent soluble fibers that are especially important in balancing blood sugar levels and can actually be beneficial in lowering blood cholesterol levels. So you can see the difference in all of those grains. When we bring it home, right now you have to buy them all separate, and then we have a nice big bucket where we mix all the grains together. And so my husband is actually in charge of breakfast, so he makes this. So all of these are mixed together in equal proportions, and then when it's time for to make breakfast, this is done in the evening. So Peter will decide if we need a new batch or not. So we have a slow cooker. And in the slow cooker, you put, for each cup of mixed grains, they've already been mixed, you can add either 1 or 2 cups of water. If you like it a little creamier, you add a little more water. And this, you're experiencing that this is a cereal that is very flaky. Some people have an issue with oatmeal because the consistency isn't something that they enjoy. So if you want it more creamy, you just add a little more water to it when you're cooking it. So you'll take the grains, and these are whole grains that's been, what we do is we rinse them. So we put it in a container, our grains, then we add water, swoosh it around, pour the water off in the colander, and I usually do it 3 times just to rinse the grains. Once the grains are rinsed, you dump it into your slow cooker, and then you add the appropriate amount of water. We usually do the 1 cup because we like it very chewy. Put the lid on, and we have a little timer. The timer comes on at 3 in the morning, and it cooks till 6 in the morning for 3 hours. It cooks for 3 hours. So it takes about less than 10 minutes, Peter would say less than that, to put it in the crock pot, plug it in, and then in the morning when you wake up, your cereal is ready. Depending on the time of the year will depend on what the toppings are. And Peter will say it's only as good as the toppings that you put on it. So depending on the year, the time of the year, and what's fresh. And as you can see that we don't usually use this many, but we usually have quite a variety of different fruits that we'll add. The berries, as you know, are very high in dietary fiber. What's your favorite berry?
Oh, I have to choose just one. I always use all 4 of them together. I have a question for you. Do you ever use frozen fruit or berries?
We sure do. We use lots of different frozen. And I like to get them at Gordon Foods in a very large bag. This one happens to be blackberries. And the other thing we didn't serve tonight, but we love sour cherries. We actually like a sour taste. And maybe you put a few cranberries on your cereal tonight and trying that. But the sour is something that we actually enjoy. Did you have a question? Yes.
You said cook for 3 hours on low or
On high. Cook it on high for 3 hours. Yes. So you've got the berries and things that are usually pretty familiar are bananas. We almost always have apples. Love those. Grapes is a must. We eat grapes all year round on ours. And then the toppings. You want to add your omega-3 fats. Where do we find those?
In seeds.
Yep, in seeds and nuts.
And our brains like those omega-3 fatty acids.
It doesn't have as many, right? So you want walnuts and chia or hemp, or if you use the flaxseed, you want to grind them because your teeth will not chew them well enough to break them apart so you'll get the good stuff during digestion.
Sometimes health providers recommend that we use fish oil, but instead we can grind the flaxseed and get the omega-3.
Where do those fish get omega-3?
Right.
They get it from the plants.
Yes.
They get it from the seaweed.
And so I don't know what you use. I use a little coffee grinder. It takes, 15, 20 seconds, and you have a tablespoon or 2 of just little fine meal that is fresh. And something about the fat is that it goes rancid so quickly in those seeds. But by grinding it fresh, just as you're ready to make your breakfast, you have all that available.
Yes. The secret ingredient are beans. Now, this was something when I heard about putting beans, I don't know about that. But a lot of countries have beans for breakfast or some kind of grain with it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the magic of beans in a few minutes. But this is something, and maybe you notice that when you have beans that's mixed with fruit, that doesn't sound like it would be good, but it could be something that works for you. You may need to think of it as medicine if you actually need those beans in the morning until your taste buds adapt to it, because those beans can help your blood sugar level tremendously. So that when you have your breakfast, it stays with you until lunch and you're not trying to get into other little things to satisfy your appetite. So you had beans for breakfast. What did you have this morning?
I did. I had a mixture of some veggies and some beans, and what else did I have? Some whole grain toast. Yeah. And it did stick with me. I wasn't hungry for lunch, so I got the kids fed, and then I could eat.
Yes, and these grains are also good just cold. If I'm traveling, I have this for breakfast, and then something really easy is just to put the grains in a to-go bowl with some nuts and grapes or whatever fruit, and it's good kind of cold too. Another way is that it looks kind of like rice, you know? So if you're making a bean dish and you're going, oh, maybe I'll just use my breakfast grains over the beans. And so it can be very versatile in different ways that you can use it.
Do you ever pour milk over it, make a little parfait or anything like
Yes,
that?
and we did have some milk at the end.
Okay.
After this is cooked, the first morning, we usually just have it warm like this. But then you have a lot made, so you put it in the refrigerator, and then the next morning you take out your out of the refrigerator, and then put this in a saucepan, and we pour soy milk in and warm it up. And then you scoop that onto your bowl and then add your fruit. So to warm it up, we use some kind of a plant milk. We choose soy. And I prefer soy because, if you're not allergic to it, because it does have a higher protein contribution. And you've got a lot of phytoestrogens, phytochemicals, and nutrients that are very immune enhancing.
I've run into a lot of people that scares them off when they hear about phytoestrogens. Is that something we should be worried about?
Phytoestrogens are something that's very beneficial for all of us, men and women.
They actually protect against those cancers.
They actually are
instead of,
very protective.
Yes,
That's
amazing.
for sure. Yeah.
And
Are
you
there
might choose your bean that's your favorite. If you're eating beans for breakfast and that's really unusual for you, I started by picking my favorite bean. My husband was so sick and tired of garbanzos because I always pick garbanzos. Until I was so used to it, it was such a part of my life that I started to branch out a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, I've noticed that you want to rinse the beans. So the black or the garbanzo have a mild flavor. And so I will choose one or the other of those in the breakfast beans, but a variety of other beans at other times.
Black beans have an amazing amount of fiber. I think it's 7 grams to a serving, which is
7 or 8 grams in a serving. So if you eat a cup of them, that's for a half a cup.
Wow.
Then we're going to get to looking at grams of fiber in a few minutes, but you can get almost half the fiber you need in a cup of beans a day.
Yes, my husband one time had a coworker say, they say you should get, and I don't remember, I think they said 20 grams of fiber a day, and we thought 20, we shoot for a lot more than that, but let's see. He said, I can't ever get that much in a day. So we were sitting at the breakfast table when he mentioned it. We sat and looked at what we'd been eating. We said, well, we've got that and a little bit more just in breakfast.
Just in breakfast, that's right. That's right. And that gets you off to a great start for your gut, your brain, your immune system. Yeah, and it'll probably make you happier and nicer too. when we feel good.
When our body feels good, our brain feels good.
That's right. That's right.